What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, just welcome. My name is Gemma Jade, but today we are going to be talking about something that I haven't heard much on, and I was like, do I want to cover it? Do I don't? Terrifying encounters with pale crawlers. Just when I think I've seen and heard it all and am finally familiarized with most everything that goes bump in the night, I realize I am no closer than I was when I wasn't even researching. In searching for something to write about for this video, I went through topic after topic after topic. Don't worry, mermaids are coming soon. I'm just trying to find actual encounters and not just the myths and legends of them. And I had to stop here and start searching for what in the world is a pale crawler. I'd never heard of this entity before, or so I thought. I just realized that I didn't know what to call them or what they were being called. I bring this forth to you all today, just as I will eventually bring all of the information I have on the tricksters so many of you are unfortunately tormented by, whether or not you know it. And that is to inform you of what we are dealing with and up against here. And before I keep going on and on about the importance of knowing our enemy and therefore how to fight against it, I will just jump right into today's video and let you all see for yourselves. The pale crawlers are extremely thin, very pale beings who are seen either hunched over and walking, crawling, crouching, or even lying down around the periphery of the fringe of things. This is where I do most of my work and my best work, and I'm very familiar with and have my own idea about these disgusting little monsters, of which I have no clue what they really are or where they come from, as I already stated. Could they be a kind of backward shadow person? I don't know, but they terrify me just as much, and I want to see what you all think. So be sure and leave me a comment and let me know, okay? There's a semi kind of well-known case of these bizarre creatures where they're called by a bit of a different name, and this may bring some of you to realize you actually have heard of them before, at least in this one instance, but in this case they're called the Fresno night crawlers. Our first account takes place in, you guessed it, Fresno, California, United States. A video surfaced from sometime in the 1990s that seems to show these things on camera for the whole world to see. They were allegedly lurking around Fresno and just being creepy when a family were concerned with trespassers on their property because of the fact that their dogs would randomly start angrily barking and snarling in the middle of the night, and it was all seemingly aimed at the pitch black of their front lawn. The family decided to put in a security camera, the best there was back in the 90s, and they placed it where the dog's anger seemed to be directed every night, and that was on top of the garage and aimed at that front lawn. The very next day, after the dogs had once again disrupted the entire house with their incessant, mean, and angry snarling and barking, the family decided to see what all the fuss was about, what was going on, and they took a look at what was recorded while they were sleeping. Two pale beings just a few feet in height with legs appearing to be almost like stilts in that they were so incredibly long and spindly, completely disproportionate to their bodies, which by the way had no discernible arms. The legs also appeared to bend backward. Some sort of fabric or something seems to flap about and around the legs of these things and makes people think they look just like a pair of disembodied pants that got up and started walking on their own. If you could picture that in your head, you'd know why I'm kind of giggling. It's not funny though, these things are terrifying. These beings smoothly almost swim, undulates across the front lawn. Then that's that, as they're out of the view of the camera and you can't see anything else. I regret I am not good enough yet with editing to add the video, but you can definitely see it on YouTube, and I will try to remember to put the Fresno Nightcrawler video, a link to it in the description box. Of course, again, I reiterate, it was the 90s and the footage is very poor quality and nothing really discernible can be seen, but if you know what you're looking for, then you can definitely see it. Let me know after you check it out in the comments below what you think about it. Like, what do you think is going on here? Let's move on now to some encounters with a bit more meat to them. Right after the original video was released to the public, another came along showing the same sort of creatures. Only this one was taken in Yosemite National Park, and it was March of 2011. These surveillance cameras were set up and watched by park officials because they were trying to identify some recent vandal activity. Again though, instead of vandals, they caught two completely inhuman, extremely pale, spindly, and backward bent legs beings. These ones were just a little different from the first ones in that while skulking around on a nearby hillside and in full view of the cameras, it seems as though one is much bigger than the other, and it seems there was a bit more detail caught this time, probably because of the much better quality of the video. There's some sort of webbing connecting what seems to be their knees to their upper bodies, and though strikingly similar, there are enough differences that opinion is almost split down the middle as to whether these two creatures captured in Yosemite are connected to the one in Fresno. I say yes, but as always, I leave it to you to decide. Theories range from a hoax, of course, thanks skeptics, just a hoax, to Native American spirits, ghosts and ghouls, strange cryptids, and extraterrestrials. The list goes on and on. In January of 2004, a researcher named Albert S. Rosales documented a sighting of something similar to the first two encounters with these ghoulish freaks. In Manchester, Dearborn County, Indiana, a young man was driving, of course, down a dark and desolate, lonely rural road in the dead of night. As he rounded a bend in the road, he caught a glimpse of something terrifying yet fascinating in his headlights. It was a single entity this time, not two, and it was very, very tall. According to the witness, this entity, this thing, looked very frail and somewhat pitiful. It was extremely pale with the same kind of strange legs and backward bent knees. The being or entity or whatever was crouched down and hunched over, right smack dab in the middle of a puddle of water. The witness kept right on going and very wisely didn't stop to get a closer look, but he did turn back around to make sure he had just seen what he had. He reported that the entity was moving in a, quote, disjointed and odd manner, end quote, and that it had, quote, protruding joints that buckled out, end quote. He said he could see it because his red taillights kept it illuminated and that it stood erect at approximately 6 or 7 feet tall and began to walk, quote, in a strange manner, end quote. As he continued on out of sight, he saw a car coming behind him that swerved, seemingly as though trying to avoid hitting this thing. Somehow, and it's still a little fuzzy, the man claims he had been able to speak with the people in that car who were an elderly couple, and they had confirmed what he had seen 100%. They allegedly said, quote, it was no human being, it was not a man, end quote. I guess the guy pulled over and so did the couple for whatever reason, and they were all so terrified they decided to all drive out of there together, like one car kind of right on top of the other. I definitely don't blame them at that point, but if I were in the elderly couple's position, after seeing that thing, I would not have pulled over for any reason except to get gas when needed in a very brightly lit area, and only if I desperately needed it to get my butt home and as far away from there as possible, let alone would I pull over for another car I have no way of knowing was connected or not to the creature. How did that elderly couple know, and I know this is going off topic, but how did they know that this guy who's like pulled over to the side of the road, either flagging them down or just sitting there, isn't connected to this? You don't know. Anything's possible. You're dealing with the unknown. Anyways, it seems that Indiana is a bit of a hotbed for these entities, as I have other encounters, and here's another one from there too. In the winter of 2016, our next witness was out on a farm in Daviess County, Indiana, feeding goats. It was around 8 p.m. and she started to walk back to her house from the farm as it was getting late, and by now it was full dark outside. As she started her walk back home, here's what she said happened next, quote, after I had finished, I began to walk back. I had crossed one field and was about halfway through the narrow path when I started to hear rustling in the underbrush. All I had with me was a little flashlight that only shined about 10 feet in front of me. I was almost to the end of the path when I spotted something. It was on all fours with a bony frame, elongated limbs, and pale skin. While the first part of that description sounds pretty generic, it did seem to have a long and highly flexible neck. Not long after I noticed it, it noticed me and bolted down the path. It ran, almost scuttling into the second field. The field had a small hill in the center, and this thing fled and disappeared over one side. I ran as fast as I could around the other side of the small hill and zigzagged back to my house, where I quickly locked all of my doors. That thing was terrifying, but it seemed watchful more than anything for now, end quote. In yet another account from the great state of Indiana in 2012, we have a case which is actually documented in the National Cryptid Society. This case comes from Michigan City. Our witness says she was staying overnight at a friend's house near Lake Michigan. There was a spectacular lightning storm happening, and as young people do, some of them went outside with the witness at around 3 a.m. to smoke a cigarette and watch the lightning storm. They almost immediately noticed a beam which seemed to be coming from a flashlight scanning around in a nearby area of tall grass. The tall grass was right next to the shore, and the beam was scanning as if searching for something back and forth. The group of friends nervously kept watching and suddenly saw that the beam was now focused on something. Something. It was a very long, thin, gray-colored humanoid creature thing, and it was lying stretched out right there on the beach, as if it had not a care in the world. The witness said, quote, the light sweeps by something in the grass, then it shines back onto it. What was illuminated was very strange. It appeared to be a naked guy crawling around on the grass. Although it had elongated arms and legs, it was moving kind of fast and crunched over. It only lasted a few seconds, long enough for all of us to see it. Then, after the thing ran off, the flashlight shines directly at us. It stayed pointing at us until it went out after a few seconds. Creepy. So we're all like, WTF was that? We asked what each other saw. We all saw a weird, stretched out naked guy. The only explainable thing it could have possibly been was a drunk, gangly naked guy. But I don't think so, because it looked abnormally stretched. The light pointed at us and it freaked everyone out. It was something strange. I can't say what the height of it was accurately, maybe around 7 foot tall. My husband said it looked something from a Marilyn Manson music video. I wanted to go down there. I wanted to see if we could find it, but no one would go with me. They were all creeped out and wanted to go back inside, end quote. So this one freaked me out a lot, and it kind of confused me too, because this entity was not whatever was holding the flashlight, or was it what was holding? How did it hold the flashlight on itself laying down? So that didn't make sense to me. It seems to me almost as though there was something else searching for this thing. How else would a random flashlight beam come from seemingly out of nowhere with nothing seeming to be attached to it, at least nothing they could see? Or did they say it was a hunched over naked guy shining the flashlight on the beach naked guy? And then it goes and train itself on directly on this nightmarish moonbathing, or so it seems, ghoul thing. Moving on to the state of Illinois, near and around the city of Effingham, a woman only known as Jade came forward with her own frightful encounter with one of these things that I just can't help but call a ghoul, because that's what my sixth sense keeps telling me they are. But anyways, here is Jade's account of what happened to her in 2010, and I have to note this one is also a documented case with the National Cryptid Society. Jade was out looking for adventure one night and headed to the allegedly haunted cemetery in Caspar. This cemetery is located in some really deep and dense woods right outside of Effingham, and she was with two of her friends. It was approximately 1 o'clock in the morning. Here's what the witness had to say about what they encountered. Quote, "I see something with yellow glowing eyes off to the side of the country road just past the ditch in its headlights. Too short to be a deer, but too big to be a possum or a raccoon. As we get closer, it gets clearer, and I realize what I'm looking at is skinny, hairless and gray, human-like, but definitely not human. Crazy as hell looking thing. It was crouched down, its arms were incredibly long and looked like it could have been 7 foot tall or bigger standing. I can feel myself get cold and my heart races and my hair stands on the back of my neck. Complete shock and terror set in and I can't make a sound. I'm just staring at it. By that time, we are right in front of it, passing it, and it just watches us drive by. It slinks back into the darkness. Then we all just start screaming, literally freaking the hell out. I was convinced it was a demon for months, but still doubted myself even seeing it, thinking my mind was playing tricks on me. We didn't even make it to Caspar that night. We went straight home. I couldn't sleep that night," end quote. Guys, I swear I don't normally read every ounce of every source and put my videos together from several different sources most of the time. So I don't read every word of every source, because sometimes there's 4 or 5 sources where I'm getting encounters especially, right? I don't just get them from one place. So I say this because what she said next really surprised me. Jade said that she just kept referring to the thing as a, quote, ghoul, end quote, because that's all she could think to call it. A ghoul is an entity that roams dark and desolate places, a lot of the time cemeteries and graveyards, and feeds on the dead there, wherever they are. She said about why she kept thinking it was a ghoul, quote, "They feed on the freshly dead and normally stay close to cemeteries to be close to food. They have been known to show themselves to humans when trying to get close to them to eat in times where fresh deceased bodies are scarce or unavailable, and could only find illustrations, but they look exactly like what I saw that night. Everything I was reading was falling perfectly in place, lined up perfectly with my experience. I could not explain it away," end quote. And I just said ghoul a few minutes ago, and I didn't want you guys to think I got it from her. That was just a very weird kind of synchronicity there. So let's finish this video with an encounter from Kentucky, Ballard County in the western part of the state. It was around 2 a.m. and the witness was driving along some dirt and gravel road out in the middle of nowhere when he caught something strange, again, in his headlights. He said, quote, "I caught sight of something white and vaguely human crawling in the ditch. As we passed it, I hit the brakes thinking it was a person who needed help." "Are you crazy? Don't effing stop," Blake screamed. I looked in the mirror and saw that it was standing up. Even though it was still in the ditch, it was as tall as the stop sign next to it. It took a step towards us and I hit the gas. As we drove away, I saw in the mirror that it dropped to all fours and was now crawling after us. I didn't start pulling away from it until I got up to about 40 miles per hour. No matter how close I was to it, I never got a good look at it. It was fuzzy, like it was constantly out of focus. I'm not sure why, but something about it makes me think as if it was male. Maybe the height. When it crawled, it moved like a lizard, hands and feet flat on the ground, elbows and knees up and out, body wiggling side to side. This happened when I was around 22. I'm 40 now and I've never seen that thing again. I've taken many a midnight cruise around those narrow roads, but I've never had the nerve to go near that particular farm road again. Call me chicken, I'll happily cluck, end quote. So what we're basically left with is this creature or entity that defies logic and escapes any known classification. Like I wrote in another video I filmed today, and that'll be out soon at the risk of repeating myself, just because we have named an entity like Bigfoot or Glimmerman or whatever, it doesn't mean we know anything about it. Like, what does it want? Where is it from? This thing, these pale crawlers, are no exception. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I am fully convinced this is some sort of ghoul or something similar to a ghoul. That's all I have for you today, guys. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the content, if you enjoyed spending this time with me. Subscribe if you haven't already, and spread the love by sharing this video. In the description box, you will find links to my books, Missing the Faith Theory and Encounters with Evil, 101 Terrifying and True Stories that I wrote with Steve Stockton. I'm going to keep thanking you guys for that bestseller title. I really appreciate it. So the links for the Kindle and paperback will be in the description box. If you want a signed or autographed copy from me, please hit me up, GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com, and I will get that to you. Also, issue number 5 of the Paranormal Press magazine. If you want a signed copy of that, also hit me up. Otherwise, I'll try to leave the link in the description box for that so you can just kind of get it yourself if you don't want me to sign it. I'm also hopefully writing for their Halloween issue as well. I'm hoping to get that story out to them soon. In the one that I did just a few weeks ago that came out, I talked about my Demon Claire encounter, which you can also see the video on my channel. If you would like to make a donation to the channel, PayPal, Cash App, Chime, Vero, Patreon, Amazon wish list gift link, where you can find crystals, decks, jewelry, all types of stuff like these beaded bracelets. If you want to send me something, if you donate $20 a month or more to Patreon, you will automatically get a 7 to 10 card intuitive personal oracle reading from me every month automatically as a thank you, on top of what I have in store for my patrons now. Thank you guys. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for the donations and understanding that I live on them right now until my subscriber count goes up. Really appreciate that, guys. And also my business, I'm trying to get the website up for, so I'm going to leave a short video explaining a little bit about that in case you guys want to make a purchase. If you have negative energy around you, if you want to be happier, commune with your guides, align your chakras, it doesn't matter what it is spiritually. If you need help with it, I have something for that, right? Like, there is an app for that. Gemma has something for that, but you got to hit me up, GemmaJadeParanormal@gmail.com or MoonBearOracle@gmail.com, until I find someone nice enough and with enough time to help me with my website and let me pay them later. Right here on Wednesday nights, you will find me and Ghost Dragon ZW doing live intuitive oracle, where anyone that comes in that wants a reading, I pull a random 1-card oracle card, give you a reading for the week, first come, first serve, come one, come all, from 7:15 p.m. Eastern to 11:15 p.m. Eastern. Try to get your name on the list by 10:30, and all you have to do that is come in and say hi. It's an amazing community. Some people don't even get readings. They just come in to hang out. That's how amazing it is. It's so much fun, guys. Be kind to each other. It doesn't cost anything. Always remember to be kind to yourself and never accept anything less than others being kind to you, because you deserve better. Always go in grace, smile at a stranger, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.